Hi, everybody. This is Cheryl, and you are with Life Without a Witness. Thank you for being here again. This is episode 3, where I'm going to read 2 more stories. Okay, and we're just going to jump right into it. All right. So, the first story, just let me just tell you again, in case this is like one of the first videos you're watching, but this is for my book, Tales from Eternity. You see it right there in the corner. Okay. So, I'm just reading these, providing commentary on these short stories, and these were again stories that I wrote before I wrote actually I wrote Firing God first. Okay, and these are the stories telling what was going on with me, the various things I was seeing and experiencing that led me to write Firing God. Okay, so that's what these stories are all about. And as I mentioned in another video, I could not say the stuff out loud. All right. I didn't have anybody to talk to, because I didn't even understand what was going on. I didn't understand why I was seeing things this way. So to tell these stories to somebody and then have them ask me questions, it'd be like, what you asking me for? Like, I don't know. Okay. So the blog that I started where these stories were for a year, it was private. Nobody saw it. Nobody saw any of these for a whole year. Okay. Because I wasn't comfortable. I thought they were going to think I was nuts or something because I thought I was nuts. All right. But I'm a writer, right? And I write stuff down. So again, that's where these stories come from. And I finally summoned the courage to put them out there, just make sure, just put it in print so that other people who may have experienced some of the things that I did, would know that they're not alone, which is what I thought. Okay. All right. So this next story is called One Color. And I distinctly remember the day, what happened for me to write this story. Okay, let's go. Look around you. Take note of what you see, including yourself. Now think of a color. Any color will do, but let's pick red, for instance. Now imagine that everything around you, including yourself, are red. Not only are things around you the color red, but actions are red as well. The act of seeing, hearing, breathing, speaking, typing, running, walking, sleeping, thinking, smelling, etc. Speaking is also red, and the space between things is red. With everything known and unknown made of the color red, tell me what red is. Keep in mind that thought and speech are also red. So you're using red, whatever that is, to explain what red is. If you really take time to think about this, you'll find that it can't be done. It's impossible to tell me what red is. You must use red to both ask and answer the question. You're using red to think of and do everything, including be you. You can never know red because you are red and everything else is red and you are everything else. There's no separation between you and red. There's no separation between you and everything. This is heaven, unconditional love, eternity, and this present moment. Just like the color red, it is all there is. It can't be known, it can't be explained, it can't be seen, heard, smelled, touched, felt, or thought about. And there's nothing separate from it to know it. You can only know something if you're separate from it. The only thing that's being communicated here is that there is no separation. You don't have to continue to invest in the belief in separation. It isn't true. You're not separate. Yes, you may see separation and division, but they have not separated or divided you. You, red, would have to pretend that you have different aspects You would have to create concepts and believe in them to convincingly pull off this story of separation. When you believe something, you make it true for you. That's where the majority of us live, in this unquestioned belief that we're separate from everything else. We don't have to live that way. There is another possibility. Once we see that possibility, we see that we never made a choice. We see that there never was a choice to make, and no one to make it. Now, I wrote this story. I remember I was in my sister's living room. This is when I was getting my divorce, and I lived in Maryland, and I moved out, and I moved to Virginia, okay, with my one of my big sisters. I was in her living room. I was dressed. I was going to go somewhere. I don't remember where. But I know I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I feel claustrophobic. Okay, now I don't have claustrophobia. Like, that's not something, I can be in small spaces and I'm good, okay? But this particular day, I'm just standing there, and like all of a sudden, it's like I can't breathe. It's like, and her living room is big. Like, she had a nice house, okay? A lot of room, all right? So it was weird. It was just weird because I was not in an enclosed space, but it felt like I was. So I walked out the living room. I said to myself, well, let me go outside, you know, maybe. So I walked out the living room. So she has a living room, and then you have to go down, like, you know, through the kitchen a little bit, and then through the foyer, right? And then you go through the front door. So I open the door. I walk outside. It's a beautiful day, blue sky, a few clouds in the air. Okay, it was like early spring, or autumn or something, right? When I got outside, it was worse. It was worse. Now I'm really like, what in the hell is going on? You know, I felt like, it was like I had no room. I couldn't, like, I could move my arms, but I felt like there was no room to do anything, you know, to go anywhere, you know. So I'm standing outside just wondering, and I had already had some weird stuff happen. Okay, so I was kind of, I wasn't as panicked as I was, you know, the first time the stuff started happening, right? So I just stood there, you know, and eventually, like, it faded away, and I was okay again, right? So I went to the computer. I went right to the computer, and I typed this story, The Color Red. Okay, because if you think about it, that there is no space between me and you. Wouldn't that make you feel good? If somebody right now, if somebody just came up to you all over your face, you know, you'd be like, right? Like, this is my space. I need you to back up. Okay, right? So it was like I had no space. It was like everybody, all y'all, just all up in here. All up in here. It's like, move. You know? And like that's what it felt like, you know. So but that's the way you would feel, right? If there was no space between you and something else. Okay. But if you're not separate, like, that's the way a whole thing is a whole, it's whole. All right. It's whole. You understand? Like, that's just what it is. It's whole. And like I said last time, right? When you look at a cell dividing, you know, when a baby is being formed, the cell is dividing, you know, multiple times, but it's still one cell. It's dividing, but it's never separated. It's still one thing. Okay, it's a baby. It's one baby. Okay, not, you know, 35 or however many times that cell divides. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing. Think of how many cells do you have in your body? I don't know, child, but I know it's a whole bunch. Okay, but you're one person, aren't you? Okay, but you're made of like a gazillion molecules and that, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it was. Okay, that's why I wrote that story, and I you know, I still get it to this day, still get it. And one of the things that you have to be, the only thing that's required that I've noticed, and again, this is Cheryl. Okay, I'm just talking. Okay? I ain't saying nothing that you need to believe or do or anything. Okay, I'm just talking. All right. One of the one thing that I had to do was just be willing to see it. That's it. Be willing. Willingness is not as easy as it may sound. Okay, because the strength of the belief is so what's the word? It has the tensile strength of a cobweb. You know what tensile, like you can, like a rope. If you had a really thick rope, like how easy would it be for you to do this and break the rope? It's not. The tensile strength is very strong. It has a lot of tensile strength. A cobweb, you ain't even got to touch it. You just got to blow on it. Okay. The belief in separation has the tensile strength less than that of a cobweb, less than that. Okay. All you need, I mean, and the willingness to see breaks it. It completely breaks it. You know, with like no effort, none. Okay. Willingness to see. And we try every trick in the book to not be willing. Every trick in the book, everyone. I mean, a talent that every human being has is the talent to ignore the obvious. I see that every day, how adept I am at ignoring what's right in front of my face. I mean, so obvious. I'm telling you. Oh, child. And I still gotta be willing to some stuff I ain't willing. Okay, I ain't willing. No. All right. I'm gonna continue to ignore it as you know, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. You know, it's not right or wrong. It is. You know, and when you're not willing, like you see what you see when you are. You know what I mean? It's not even a thing. Okay, I'm just talking. All right, let's get to the next story. Time for questions. All right. What time is it? Okay. The purpose of a question is not to find an answer. The purpose of a question is to hide the answer. Allow me to explain. The entire cosmos is an attempt to find what we think we've lost. Everything is always moving forward. Time does not stop. Another way of looking at this is everything is a question, seemingly looking for an answer. Everything is a question. I'm not just talking about the questions we form with words like, does my butt look big in these pants? I'm saying that the person asking that question is a question. A question is a matter of some uncertainty, and your body, the symbol of yourself, is that matter of uncertainty calling for a reply. The sensory body reading this story is a question. Since everything is moving forward to find an answer, and an answer is a reply or response to an inquiry, every movement is an attempt to find an answer to the question of you, or so we believe. Let's look at this a little further. First, an answer has nothing to do with right or wrong. An answer is simply a reply or response to an inquiry. Second, in order to ask a question, something must already be known. You must already be certain of something. This is true 100% of the time. For example, the question, what time is it, announces the certainty of time. The known in that inquiry, or at least one of the knowns, is time. You're sure that that's actually something that exists. So that's why you ask the question, what time is it? Okay? What about the question, who am I? This question announces the certainty of I, which has to be there and is known before the question can be asked. We cannot ask questions of things of which we have no knowledge. How would we do that? To ask questions like, what is that? Or even, huh? Something has to be there first. Either the sight of it, the hearing of it, the feeling of it, etc. If not, the question would have no anchor, no foundation, no source, no basis, and no substance. Without something being known first, the question could never exist. It can't be asked. Every question already has the answer in it. The reply must be there before the call to reply. Let me read that sentence again. Every question already has the answer in it. The reply has to be there before you call for a reply. Right now, you are probably sure of your heartbeat, your last inhalation, the feeling of your feet on the floor, and the sound of the voice in your head as you read these words or hear me read them. All those things are true and real, aren't they? Everything we are sure of right now is a question, and it's actively calling for a reply. But we don't have to drive ourselves crazy looking for the answer. The answer is there in the question. In fact, the answer is the question. Calling for a reply is absolutely fine. It's just unnecessary. When we take separation seriously, we don't know who we are. We feel we've lost the knowledge, the answer that was there before the question. So in order to know again or to remember the answer, we must ask questions. Time gives us a chance to find the answer. Questions also give us a purpose, a reason, and a goal. So why can't we just find the answer? Because it isn't lost. We never separated ourselves. We are still the answer. At no time will we ever be able to say, I found the answer. Finding the answer would be like trying to wake a person pretending to be asleep. It can't be done. You can't wake somebody up who's pretending to be asleep. It would take intentional blindness, deliberate ignorance of the truth, blatant disregard of the obvious, and tons of wasted energy to attempt to do what cannot be done. And of course, fail at getting it done. Yet it seems as if we can find the answer. It seems as if we can find the answer, doesn't it? What happens when a question is finally answered? What happens when it gets the reply for which it was calling? Where does the question go? For instance, if I call my mom and ask, Mom, what are you cooking for dinner tonight? Before she answers, one primary thing is occurring with me. There is the expectation that she will answer, which means the answer is not here now. So I need time to help me wait until it gets here. If the answer were here, I wouldn't need to ask the question, right? So I'm waiting and hoping she's going to say, hey, it's jambalaya, or one of my other favorite meals. Finally, she answers, I'm cooking okra. Damn it, I hate okra. I say this to myself, of course. Once I get my answer, the question is gone. The answer shines through. The question is no longer needed, and neither is time, since I've gotten my answer. Time depends on there being an unanswered question. Time, like seeing, hearing, and touching, is a sensation. Time is a sensation dependent on ignorance or ignorance of knowledge. Time is the sense of anticipation. It's a movement for more knowledge. The nature of a question depends on time. Time has no purpose without questions. Questions have no purpose if there's already an answer. Do you see the connection there? So if I want to keep this game going, I have to keep asking questions while simultaneously ignoring the answer that they hide. Again, I'm not just talking about the questions we form with words. I'm talking about questions we form with senses. Questions like the sun, the sky, rainbows, bodies, water, tables, spinach, etc. Everything we sense is a question. You are a question. When we think we're the question, we don't want to find or notice the answer because we think the answer will obliterate us. And it will. Time and the answer cannot coexist. It will absolutely obliterate the question. But you are not the question. You're the answer. Answers don't need time. Answers don't need to wait. Wait for what? Every time you ask a question and take the question seriously, you are trying to hide from yourself the answer. For instance, the concept of body is an expression that is meant to hide you. Keep in mind that there's nothing right or wrong with questions. It isn't about what's right or wrong, okay? It's merely about what is or isn't and what's true or false. Are bodies true or are they false? When I look in the mirror and see Cheryl, or in this camera, is she true or false? That's the question. Don't take questions seriously. You already know the answer because you are the answer. For all the billions of questions, there's only one answer for all of them. And if your question is, what's the answer? You'll find it in that question. Now, this story, y'all have, many of these stories, including this one, I would go out to Forest Park, which is a really beautiful park that we have out here. And I would like sit by the water or just walk down on the trails or something and just wonder about stuff, okay? And like I said, it doesn't, the story that I wrote, it just seemed like obvious to me, that's the way things seem to be happening. And, and the typical answer, or the typical picture I had in my mind of what a question actually is, or what I was taught in school about what it is and what it does and its function and all that, I had to be willing to see something else. That's it. I just had to be willing to see something else. That's all. Okay. Not to say that what I was taught in school is wrong. Okay, because it's not right or wrong. What I just said, what I just read, is not right or wrong. Okay. It's just something that I was willing to see, something else I was willing to see. All right. And I have to be clear, the stuff that I say here on this channel at any time is not gospel. Okay. It's the same way if you turn on your radio or press something on your playlist, okay, and you listen to the song, okay, and then the song goes off. It's the same way here. Do you like the song? I mean, is that a song you like to hear? If not, you go to something else or whatever. Like, that's totally what's going on right here, okay? This ain't no religious stuff. It's not even non-dual, okay? It's just Cheryl talking, all right? And I'm sharing perspective and experience. That's what I'm doing. Okay, that's it. And I really do need y'all to keep that in mind. There's nothing here that needs to be remembered or repeated or anything like that. Okay, just sharing perspective and experience, which is something that I love to do. All right. And I'm sure if I'm, willing to see it, I can see something else. Not to say that what I just said is right or wrong, but there's, something else to see if I'm willing to see it. All right. That's it. All right. Thank you so much for being here for episode 3. I'm going to be back to read 2 more stories. All right. And what's next? Let me see what stories are next. Like I said, it's been years since I've actually read these. The next one is Am I Enlightened Yet? And then The Brightest Moon. Ooh, I remember writing that. The Brightest Moon. Yes, yes. Okay. I'm going to see y'all back here for the next episode. Okay. Have an amazing night. Bye, y'all.